Are the EarFun Free Pro the best budget true wireless earbuds with active noise cancellation? What's the one plot twist you guys need to know before buying these? And why have 3 out of 4 of my last reviews all been true wireless earbuds with Pro in the name? I'm going to leave that last question to you, but I'll be answering the rest by rating the EarFun Free Pros out of 10 in 6 key areas before dropping my final score at the end. I'll throw affiliate links in the description below so you can check their price in real time. EarFun sent these in for a review, but of course you can expect my zero filter opinion as always. Okay, let's get stuck in. Hey guys, it's Mark here, and I'm back to let you know what's worth buying before you buy it. So let's start by addressing the plot twist here first. Yeah, the EarFun Free Pro are literally identical to the FIIL T1 Pro in terms of colour, shape, size and weight. The only visible difference here is the branding. So are these the exact same buds that I've already reviewed? If not, what are the differences? Which is better and which should you buy? Let's find out. So into round one, as we look at build and design, we've got a stupendously light and compact case, making these one of the most pocket-friendly buds out of everything I've ever tested. Okay, yes, it's a little bit plasticky, but that's expected at this price point, and fortunately, it's not that super glossy plastic you'll find on AirPods, which I always find way too slippery and easy to drop. The buds are also some of the most compact you'll find, with wingtips to ensure they stay super secure, and oval-shaped drivers which result in a far more ergonomic, comfortable fit. Plus they're IPX5 rated too, so you can wear these when working out in the rain. I meant to say those separately, but you can do both if you want to. I've never dropped a 10 out of 10 for build quality and design, but the EarFun Free Pro leave me no choice. It's a full 10 out of 10 from me for build quality and design. The exact same score as I would have given the FIIL T1 Pro, as you know, they're identical. But honestly, even $300 true wireless earbuds could learn a lot from the compact design and portability on offer here. In terms of fit and comfort in round two, the EarFuns have done everything to ensure that you get a great fit, starting with a ton of different sized ear tips straight from the box and wingtips as well. Plus, the buds don't stick out of your ears like so many do, which is definitely handy if you're going to be wearing a face mask a lot, taking it on and off. The oval-shaped drivers help to reduce pressure on your ear canal, meaning you don't feel their presence in your ears half as much. Then, the wingtips help to keep things super secure and well seated. However, those wingtips do mean I often experience ear fatigue after around 45 minutes, just kind of where they make contact with your ears. They're not as flexible as I would have liked, but you can always easily remove them if that's the case for you too. So I'm going to give these a 8 out of 10 for fit and comfort. They're secure enough for light, moderate and even more extreme workouts, super compact. I just wish the wingtips had a little bit more give and flexibility. But what about battery life? Not surprisingly, the EarFun Free Pro offer the exact same battery life as the FIIL T1 Pro, who knew? It's 7 hours playback in a single sitting and 32 hours overall when you factor in the extra charges in the case. Considering the case is so outrageously compact, these figures are seriously impressive and absolutely dominate a lot of the budget buds I've reviewed recently. So that's going to be a straight 9 out of 10 from me for battery life. Now, it's not the most I've seen at this price point, but it's certainly the most I've ever seen from a case this tiny. So here is a microphone test of the EarFun Free Pro. How do they sound? You guys let me know in the comments below. But compared to the T1 Pro, which are supposedly identical, I'm pretty sure they are, how are they going to sound? Are they going to sound better or worse or the same? Probably the same, but we're going to test those next just to double check. So let's get those on right now. And here's my microphone test of the FIIL T1 Pro. Now, I can't tell you whether or not they sound identical yet, because I'm still recording them. I haven't listened to them myself back yet. But I'm going to get back to the studio and let you guys know, because it's pretty foggy, pretty cold today. So I think I'd prefer to be inside than walking along here out in the elements. So let's go do that right now. First of all, I think it's pretty clear that, not surprisingly again, both the T1 Pro and EarFun Free Pro have identical mic quality. And fortunately, for what we're getting here, the mic quality is actually pretty solid, considering that these are well under $100. they both handle background noise with ease, and my voice was clear at all times without distortion. Something which is actually pretty hard to find in not just budget buds, but even high-end buds as well. So I'm going to drop a 9 out of 10 for mic quality here, as I'm struggling to even recall the most recent test that offered consistent clarity like these do. It's time for round 5, which means not only do you have a great attention span, but you're going to also find out about functionality and usability, which is where the T1 Pro and EarFun Free Pro finally start to diverge onto a slightly different path each. But first, let's start talking about what they both have in common. Now, this is what I expect to find in a pair of buds released in 2021. For starters, we've got Bluetooth 5.2, which means a more stable connection, as well as more efficient power consumption. And then we've also got wireless charging and a low latency gaming mode too. And though audiovisual lag is next to none across YouTube and Netflix, as it always generally is, it would have still been nice to see the support of aptX here for higher quality audio file playback, especially if you're using an Android device, and that will also help with audiovisual lag a little, but it's not a massive deal breaker. And of course, both have the exact same solid active noise cancellation that actually does punch way above their price point, and a transparency mode that, whilst a little bit quiet, offers far less interference than you can find in most other budget earbuds. People always ask this, so yes, you can use either earbud in mono mode, but of course don't expect multi-point pairing here at this price. But even still, everything I've just listed is already way more future-proofing than you'll find in other buds at a similar price, or even double the price. But here's the first big difference, finally. The FIIL T1 Pro comes with a companion app that gives you access to custom equalizer presets, which is always great, allowing you to switch up the sound signature depending on the genres you listen to most. Unfortunately, the EarFun Free Pro don't have a companion app at all. So is that a straight win for the T1 Pro? Well, it would be if it weren't for the fact that the T1 Pro still haven't launched outside of China, which is where I got mine from. So the Western FIIL app doesn't support the T1 Pro, despite now actually showing them in the app. They just simply won't connect. That means you can't even use the companion app that comes with them unless you're willing to install a Chinese app store and a Chinese version of the FIIL app, which is not surprisingly all in Chinese, meaning this isn't actually the huge deal breaker it could have been. The second difference surfaces with touch controls. EarFun have put every possible function you could want on them. You've got single tap for volume, double tap for play and pause, a triple tap on the left to toggle ANC, or on the right to skip tracks, and a long press on the left for low latency mode, or on the right for your smart assistant. However, by default, the T1 Pro only has a double tap to play and pause, or a long press for ANC and low latency mode by default. So that's going to be an 8 out of 10 for functionality and usability, with aptX and a companion app being the only things that EarFun could have introduced to get full points from me. Okay, it's time to talk sound quality, but I'm sure you know by now, before we dive in, I'm going to plug my own social media, so go follow me on my personal Instagram and Twitter, links in the description, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because at 50k subs, we're not far, I will be changing my channel name to mrkwd Tech Pro. No, really, I will actually do it. Okay, brace yourselves, it's time to talk sound quality. So, the final difference between the FIIL T1 Pro and EarFun Free Pro ends here. Sound signature. The T1 Pro are actually far more neutral and natural sounding, with the EarFuns delivering a bass boosted sound profile. Which is better? Well, it just comes down to personal preference, really. I know that's not a very helpful answer, so I'll say personally, I prefer the bass boost on the EarFuns over the T1 Pro, even though I do kind of prefer a neutral sound profile most of the time, because you're getting that rich, deep, low-end rumble in addition to that punchy bass, which fortunately doesn't ever verge on becoming too boomy. If the T1 Pro had a little more sparkle in those high notes, it might be a little harder for me to call. But to my ears, the EarFuns just do an overall better job at livening up most music genres. Mids here are warm and present, though they can be slightly recessed against that heavy bass, depending on what you're listening to, but overall, vocals especially sound very natural and true to life, which is nice to hear. Treble can be a little harsh and a little thin if you listen to a lot of rock music, especially at louder volumes, but across 90% of genres, the sound signature puts in a strong performance across the board. This is where custom equalizer settings would have really come in handy for tweaking things to those specific genres where they may not naturally capture the full rich detail as much as I would have liked if I could tweak the sound signature. But fortunately, unlike the Soundcore Liberty Air 2 Pro, yeah, another Pro, I reviewed recently, there's next to no significant audio static here, and the sound signature doesn't shift whatsoever whether ANC is on or off. Pretty impressive considering the earphones are half the price. Soundstage here is okay. I find that it's actually kind of similar across a lot of budget buds, so there isn't too much to talk about here on a deeper level. With lots of musical elements in play, there can be some audio overlap, but of course you're looking at paying anywhere from double to triple the price to start remedying that issue. So I'm going to drop an 8 out of 10 for sound quality here. In reality, compared to most other options at this price, it should probably be a 9 out of 10, but with no custom equalizer settings or presets, their performance for genres like rock and metal is a little average at best, but otherwise these are some of the best sounding buds I've heard outside of the Soundpeats H1, which still remains my favourite budget buds for pure sound quality, not overall. However, as far as I can see, they still have not been shipped on Kickstarter, even though they were supposed to in December, so it might even be wise to just forget about those for now. Overall, the EarFun Free Pro scored a 52 out of 60, which is an 8.6 out of 10. Pretty sure it's one of the highest scores I've ever dropped, if not the highest, which shows just how much of a solid all-rounder the EarFun Free Pros are. The pros are, get it, pro? An insanely compact pocket-friendly design, great battery life, fit, mic quality, and decent future-proofing too. The cons are no equalizer settings when the T1 Pro clearly showed it could have been possible, and no aptX codec. So which should you buy? Well, considering it's been 4 months since I first reviewed the T1 Pro, and they're still not on sale in the US or the UK, and EarFun have now released literally the identical product with a few minor differences, I think it's time to quit waiting and just get the EarFun Free Pro instead. These are probably the best budget ANC true wireless earbuds out there right now, and the only pair of budget buds that sound slightly better, the Soundpeats H1 as I mentioned, still aren't even on sale yet. And though they have aptX Adaptive 2, which is a massive plus, I found the fit and microphone quality to be pretty underwhelming, and they're considerably larger too. But if you still want to weigh up your options, just in case the Soundpeats H1 ever do actually finally release, then you can check out my full review of those by clicking here, or you can check out my review of the FIIL T1 Pro versus FIIL's other products by clicking here. So pick one of those, and I will see you in the next video.